We are back and ready to roll. This is episode numero 64 of the Shutdown Inning podcast. Steven Rissotto here alongside Tylor Hall as always. Tylor, what's going on? Do you smell baseball season in the air?
Hey, everybody. Yes, sir. We are 2 day as we record today. It's Monday afternoon for Steven and I. And it's 2 days from opening day, man, for the Giants and Yankees on Netflix, and definitely excited to have baseball I actually care about to watch again.
Yep, 2 days from opening day. I'm gonna ask you real quick just to start us off. What do you think about the Netflix stuff? Because like I feel like opening day, and look, there's money to be made. It's a big platform, but I just feel like opening day is such a local game. Like it's a local broadcast. Teams want to see like the lining up on the line, all that. I like that it's happening on opening day and it's the only game in town, but if you're not at the ballpark, I wonder how it's going to change for people watching at home.
Yeah, just in general, like the Netflix, the YouTube, the Roku games, like I don't care if it's their goal is to expand, viewership and the fan base, nationally or globally, but still have those games on their local network.
Yeah.
No fan base should have to download an app or sign up for a service to watch their team play a game, in my opinion. So that's my only gripe against it. I don't care that they put it on there, but they should make it available to everyone. Like we should be able to watch Giants games whenever we want. We shouldn't say, "Oh, I don't have Roku or I don't have Netflix. I can't watch."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's going to be a rude awakening though, I think for everybody when this is more prominent. I don't know what's going to happen in the next CBA. I don't know what's going to happen when some of these regional sports networks well, some of them have already gone down, but how many more of them are going to go down, and when is Rob Manfred going to say if you want to watch baseball, you got to subscribe to this? So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but it is good that Netflix is showing an interest in baseball. So I guess if there's a silver lining in my rationale here, it's that. Anyways, speaking of silver lining, it's always a treat for us to see the World Baseball Classic.
That
Uh,
was quite the speedy transition there, my friend. All
yeah,
right, yeah,
quite the
let's
speedy
go.
transition. So this, if opening day is the main course, this was like a top tier appetizer. I want to say we covered the last WBC, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
Um,
so, yeah.
but what did you think? I mean, this is Venezuela coming out on top. What did you think of the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining to watch for sure. It was nice to kind of see some new countries in the mix. Italy making a run where I don't think anybody expected them to make a run. And so just seeing some new, as Steven does. What do you even call
I
that?
don't even know what it's called, but
All
uh,
right, well,
yeah, the Italian little
uh,
gesture. Well, there's a lot
yeah.
of those, but
Yeah. Yeah, no middle fingers involved. For those just listening and not watching. Um, But yeah, it was fun. It was really entertaining. There was, some interesting happenings, whether that be, Mark DeRosa not knowing if they were advancing or not, or Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena, it was their little spat. But it was fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. How about you?
yeah, 100% same thing. And I did enjoy the other countries. And I will say, though, it's one of those things where you might not think much of Brazil, you might not think much of Czech Republic in these tournaments, but it's a big deal to those countries, I think. And it's a big deal to baseball just that those countries even qualified, right? I think it's one of those things where the fact that there's a 17-year-old pitching for Team Brazil, and it was just cool. It's cool for the people on the team to get a chance to compete against some of these mammoth rosters that are involved, right? And Italy being a team who really, there's not much of a prominent baseball history in Italy, not much of a prominent baseball presence when it comes to representation on the active roster, and a lot of the players are kind of guys that just wouldn't have made the USA roster. Vinny Pasquantino, Francisco Cervelli was managing. It was cool to see that. And, I guess a team that I'm somewhat, I guess if I was in in the WBC. I guess a team that I would be playing for, or which would be interesting, but
Potentially, yeah.
potentially. But it'd be cool. It was cool to see them make the run. Um, this is what baseball like. It's so good to have this every 3 or 4 years, whatever it may be. It's one of those things where like the energy. I keep saying it's one of those things, but the energy that is brought in, especially with games in Miami and Houston, there's a ton of energy, and I think it's something that I just look forward to. I know you look forward to it too. And I'm glad that this year's happened. Now, I do want to get into some of those things that you mentioned. First of all, what did you think about the Arozarena Cal Raleigh handshake or lack thereof?
Yeah, it was silly to me that it even became as much of a thing as it did. From all accounts, it sounds like they've resolved the beef and they are ready to open the season hand in hand in Seattle. But yeah, I thought it was a little silly, and I kind of get where each guy is coming from. Raleigh basically said if this was a playoff game and I was playing against someone I used to play with, I'm not going to shake their hand before the game. So, I get where he's coming from, and I get a Rosarena saying, but we are actually still teammates. What's going on? But silly that it became such a thing. But, God, teammates, major league teammates are playing each other all the time in the World Baseball Classic. So, what
Yeah.
what, what did you think about all the hubbub?
Yeah, I mean, I also see both sides. I mean, I saw what Cal is saying about how it's competition, even though he's, the teammate. Um, but at the same time, like, what is it hurting to put out your hand? Like, what is it hurting to put out your hand? It
What's
just
it hurting to not put out your hand?
fair enough. And what I will say to that is that Rosarena had some weird comments after the game where he pretty much called him like a dick or something. I don't know what he called him,
Yeah.
like a jackass or something, which it's like, I don't know if there's a pre-existing issue there before, but it seems like for him to say that, I mean, that maximizes the chances of there being issues before this even happened. So it's just not a good thing, I think, if you're a Mariner fan to have out there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal in the this realm of things, but it kind of bizarre to hear what Randy had to say after the game. Just kind of like a screw him type thing. It's his teammate. You got
Yeah.
to go back to him and spend the whole year with him, pretty much. So yeah,
You
I
know,
thought that
I'll
was a
I'll
little
try
weird.
to find out. I'll be up in Seattle for opening day on Thursday. I'll try to
Nice.
find out what happened and report back, Stephen.
Yes, as one of your good friends, of course. Do you want to remind the listeners of your connection to the Mariners franchise now?
Yeah, friend of the
That's
program,
right.
Jake McKinley, former head coach at UNR, is now the major league field coordinator for the Seattle Mariners. And so I've been, Jake and I met first day of freshman year of high school last century, and we've been really good friends ever since. And so going up to see him announced in a big league stadium for the first time, going to check out opening day and Friday night's game in Seattle and go show some support.
So you didn't have to say last century. I feel like that is just kind of like walking into a portrayal of yourself that you didn't necessarily need to do.
I
So
mean, it was late last century, but that's better than saying like 30 years ago,
yeah, you're a young man, Tyler. You're running. You're doing all this young man
right?
stuff, right? Your father.
Oh, not to totally sidetrack us here, but the yard goats we talked about
Yes,
updating.
update.
Team is looking pretty solid. We don't keep score at this age. If I had to estimate, I'd say we are like 2-1-1. There was one where it was like so close. It was like you could have told me one team had two more, three more runs than the other. I wouldn't have been surprised. Couple where we were definitely, the team, and then the team we played this past weekend definitely had an older team, and they were just crushing the ball. But the yard goats are looking good. Spirits are high.
Is this T-ball or
Enjoying.
is this kid pitch?
It's coach pitch.
Coach pitch.
Near the
Sorry,
end,
yeah.
near the end of the year, kids can pitch if they so choose to. Like I might have mentioned last time, I've got only one kid out of 15 who's played at this level before, so working on a lot of the basic coordinations and accuracy and whatnot. So I don't know how many kids I have that'll try to pitch. So I'll be probably pitching most of the time.
Now, do you do anything interesting when it comes to like defensive like positioning? Like you have a shift on for a left-handed batter? Do you or I guess having them stand in traditional spots is
I'm not
a problem within
shifting
its.
kids in that are 5, 6, 7 years old, Steven. What are we talking about here, man? I
Do
will
you
tell
make
the
the
kids on
lineup?
like the left side of the field, like on the right side of the field when a lefty comes up, be ready. This kid might hit it over this way. But I'm not shit. I'll be happy if when I tell them like, you're at second, you're at short, you're in left, that when I tell them that they go to the right position the first try.
Now, do you make the lineup based on ability? Do you
No.
do you like change?
I just want it
This
to be fair. I want all the kids to have the same opportunity. So I set a lineup, that it's a rolling lineup. So lined them up 1 through 15. If like the seven hitter's my last batter for this game, then the eight hitter will lead off next game. So same opportunities, pretty much same in the field too. Just kind of rotating it, letting them just kind of get a flavor for each position.
good for you. We're always happy to hear Yard Goat. And I see the pictures online on Facebook, so I'm kind of tapped in vicariously through your relatives on Facebook. So I know you're not on
Yeah,
social
come on up
media these
sometime.
days.
I'll get you good seats. Come on up.
Yeah, what I really want is a Yard Goats hat. That's what I oh so desire. And we'll podcast from the game.
Yeah, there we go.
Interview some of the players. We'll be like, "What's your favorite movie?" Yeah, Toy Story.
Zootopia 2.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of them.
But
Um,
anyway, World Baseball
World
Classic.
Baseball
Yeah,
Classic.
Randy and Cal not quite getting along as well as the Yard Goats, but it seems it's behind them.
How
What
about
about the
DeRosa?
DeRosa deal? Yeah, I mean, not knowing that you haven't officially moved on to the next round is just mind-boggling to me. That he just thought it was just like, oh, all right, we didn't win, but at least we're advancing. That was shocking to me.
Yeah, there's like so much to get into here, and there's so many
It gave
possi.
me flashbacks to like Kyle Shanahan potentially not knowing the overtime rules in the Super Bowl a
That's
couple years
right.
ago.
Yeah, that's right. Same kind of vibe, and it's so interesting to me because I don't know how this happened. I don't know when it happened. And I feel like those two questions of how and when matter so much because when it's like, did he go into the tournament thinking that the first round, like USA immediately got a pass? Because that could have happened. Or did he think 2 wins was enough to get in? And he just didn't look at the rest of the pool, what was happening with some of the other teams.
Yeah, he
So
might have just not realized that Mexico and Italy hadn't played each other yet.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean or was he just making a joke and the humor just was not. I don't think that was the case. I think what he said was completely serious. And that's item number one. Item number two is he's like, "Yeah, we stayed out late the night before. We were telling stories. The guys are dragging right now." Wait, slow down. What do you mean the guys are dragging? Like this is March. They're not dragging like it's the end of September. That's
The
one.
dog days of summer.
And how are they dragging when like they wrapped up like early into the morning or not early into the morning, late at night, and the game was like at what 9 p.m. or something or 8 or 9 p.m. local time? Like what are we dragging from? And the fact that Paul Goldschmidt started at first base, like I don't believe that he knew that the United States it was a must-win game for them. I don't believe he knew it. And
Well, it
it's
wasn't
it's
must win. They had to win. If they won that game, they would have punched their ticket for sure. But it wasn't a
yeah,
must win because they lost and then they still went forward.
not a
But
must win, but a game you would like to win just because then if you lose, you would have to
yeah,
worry about,
you take out the ifs.
yeah, the runs scored, all that jazz, and Italy winning. And I like Mark DeRosa. I really do. I've always liked him on MLB Network, someone I grew up kind of watching on that show, MLB Central. He's been on there for over a decade. Um, Always thought that he would come back with the Giants when he was hurt. I'd be like, oh, he'd come back and he'd be a big part of this team. Never happened when I was a kid when he, would get hurt. But you got to come back with another manager next year if you're USA. And like the USA's past managers, Jim Leland, Joe Torre, um, you know, it, how do you not get like a Joe Madden or a Mike Scioscia or a Bruce Bochy to manage this team? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree. Have a Hall of Famer leading them. I mean, that's not that hard to do in the United, and here is find someone with Hall of Fame pedigree who can manage for 2 weeks.
yeah. Or even somebody who's just out there, like who got fired or something and they're waiting on a managerial job, Gabe Kapler, put him in charge of it.
Oh God.
But even though he's a general manager, so that probably wouldn't work out. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I like the event too. In the United States, this is I guess another angle we could hit, and maybe the last angle we could hit. Did they have fun? Like, I mean, I don't want to compare them to the way our friends and players from Latin America play baseball. It's obviously two different things, but it's night and day watching them play and watching the Dominican Republic play. And I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it's just like, what are we doing? Like, why are we taking this so serious? Have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have had more fun. I don't think necessarily, and I'm fine with every team celebrating however they want to. I don't think USA needs to be, jumping up and down doing cartwheels around the bases necessarily to show they're having fun, but it did seem very business trip like for the Team USA, and I'm sure part of that is, playing in your home country for the finals, having or through the whole tournament for them and just the level of expectations on them. But then, I mean, Dominican Republic had some pretty high expectations too, and they were, having a good time out there. Yeah, interesting question. I'm sure they would all tell you that they enjoyed it minus the end result, but it's always fun when you can watch, people playing a game and feel like they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah. No, and just I guess a quick thought on that too, and uh, my personal opinion here, but they had in the guy who was part of the Navy SEALs who killed Osama bin Laden. They had one of the Navy SEALs there, and I understand the importance of repping USA on your chest and what it means to people and what it might mean to other people and whether relatives are involved or there's a family background and I guess why you play. But it's like to me, and this again, maybe I shouldn't even be saying this, but why is patriotism so dependent on like stuff surrounding the military? Everybody has their own version of patriotism, and the fact that all the players and their answers about why they put on this jersey was because of the troops, it's a valid answer, right? And it's probably one that is near and dear to their hearts, but I feel like patriotism doesn't only have to do with the military and it just I don't know. It was just so interesting. I don't know. I don't think you have a response to that, but it's just something in my head. I feel like patriotism means a lot more than just that. But yeah, there's some current world stuff happening.
I agree with your thoughts, Stephen. That's
Thank you.
all I'll say. There's more to it than that. I agree. But no, it was still, a fun tournament to see. I'll miss it for 3 years and then maybe it'll be in the Bay Area next time. We'll see.
Yeah, I did actually hear somebody said on Twitter, I think, that the reason it's not in San Francisco anymore, or it hasn't been, in three WBCs now is because the dome. Like they're worried about the weather, so they don't want to play in San Francisco just in case it rains. So that's why they've kind of rolled with Chase Field one year and Houston and Miami. They have roofs, so it's a little bit more easy to combat. So, um, yeah, that's why. But yeah, good job to everybody involved. Congrats to Venezuela. Really cool to see them win it for the first time, especially. You always love to see that. I feel like the only other big country that hasn't won it at this point that usually fields a good roster is probably Puerto Rico. So I feel like they're next in line. Um, I
What
gotta
about
get
Italy, man?
I gotta get an Italy hat. My parents and I were looking at gear, and we might pull the trigger on that. So, um, representing my people. Shout out to Ron Wood, friend of the show.
Yeah.
Um, who
Row and Woe and Rags.
Lone Rags, Dave Rigetti, and Jorge Posada was a coach too. He has no Italy connection. The broadcast actually said, "Yeah, Jorge Posada said before the game that he's only here because he likes pasta." So who knows what the qualification is to manage for Team Italy? But I think you could do it, Tyler.
I probably could. Why not?
Yep, and you're experienced now with the yard goats, so you have
Yeah.
experience. So maybe one day we'll see Tony Vitello on that coaching staff too, because he's also an Italian. All right, moving on to somebody who played in the WBC, I believe, for Team Dominican or no, Team Venezuela, Cristopher Sanchez. He gets extended a big payday, $91 million in new money. He's getting extended through at least 2032. He was a Cy Young finalist last season and has emerged as the ace of the Philadelphia Phillies with Zach Wheeler out. So this happened a few days ago. We're just kind of a few weeks ago. We're just kind of catching up, but
Well,
another
no,
anchor.
Sanchez was today, I believe.
Oh,
They
Sanchez
they
was
extended
today.
Luzardo a few weeks
Luzardo
ago. By
was
the way, quick correction: Sanchez is Dominican.
okay. I knew he was on one of
Um,
them.
uh,
That's pretty bad, isn't it?
yeah. So they extended him today. From what I read, it's kind of a weird one because they're leaving like a couple the next 2 years on, I think. So and then adding in some more with some options and some incentives and whatnot. But I think I read it adds about 6 years to the contract potentially if all the options are picked up. 91 million in new money potentially. Like you mentioned, he's been spectacular, especially the last couple of years for the Phillies. The Phillies did, I think, since the last time we recorded, they did extend Jesus Luzardo as well. So, especially if Wheeler can come back and be, himself, that's a pretty scary top three-fifths of your rotation.
Yeah, 100%. He's been fantastic. And he's not your prototypical, like, I kind of didn't see him coming when, he was coming up and rising the prominence with the Phillies. And the thing about Luzardo, too, who also got the extension, is I'm very happy to see that he's doing well. I remember being kind of in love with his profile as a prospect with the A's and like what he could be. Um, and there's a stretch there where they had him, and Oshama Mania was a little bit before him. Um, and it's cool to see him, doing well. But yeah, that's just a really good, um, 1-2 punch right now, those two guys. And, if you want to talk about Giants fans listening, maybe a reason why Bryce Eldridge isn't starting the year in the big leagues is the Giants have the Phillies this first part of the season. So the first month of the season. So you might get a chance to see those two guys, and you might not want Bryce's bat in the lineup. But yeah, extensions for those two guys. NL East is interesting. I'm sure we're going to get to it when we preview the season more in just a bit. But um, don't sleep on that division being kind of sneaky. I think the Braves might be back in some way, but that's just a teaser there.
Yeah, definitely. We talked throughout, the off season when the Phillies were coming up in the news, and we talked about how they've kind of stuck with the aging core, at least on offense. And so if you're going to do that, you got to have, some solid young pitching to back it up, and they're locking up what they've got to do that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other news is we'll kind of rat-a-tat-tat some of these before we get to the season. The Blue Jays are extending some of their brain trust. John Schneider, the manager, gets a 2-year extension, and the general manager, Ross Atkins, gets a 5-year deal. Very well deserved. John Schneider's a baseball lifer, spent a lot of years in the minor leagues with the Jays organization before getting a big league managerial job. Ross Atkins has been very successful there as well. And look, I think the Blue Jays are in a position right now where they could be a favorite in this American League East division, and they're the defending American League champs. It's a tough division, another one, and I'm glad that this core is kind of locked in because I really did enjoy watching the Blue Jays work last year. They did it in a way that kind of brought back people to what baseball used to be in a weird way, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from them. And I feel like they made good moves this offseason to be able to kind of defend their title right now.
yeah, I agree. And it's, pretty understandable that they, make it to the World Series, come within, I think I had read somewhere this past week or so that they measured in like IKF was 9 inches away from scoring the winning run. So they were 9 inches away from a World Series title. Um, some great moves this offseason. And so, lock it up and see what you can do in the years to come with what you're what you've built there. So
100% agree. So good to those guys. It is extension season. This always seems to happen at the end of spring training. Um, Another guy who I thought could get an extension this year, Konnor Griffin. I want to touch on him first. Konnor Griffin is the number one prospect in baseball. And I think we might have touched on him. I think I had him for an up when he hit two homers in spring training a few weeks ago. But this guy is going to be very good. He's going to be a very good defender. He's a big guy at shortstop. He's going to hit homers. He's going to steal bases. A lot of stolen bases in the minor leagues. And he's starting the year in the minor leagues with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Did not make the team. He'll start in AAA. But I guess also 'tis the season of guys making the team and not making the team, and he's not making the team, but we'll see him soon.
yeah, he'll be up at some point. I mean, it's not like the Pirates are itching to contend right away. So, I'm sure there might be, they won't say it, of course, but some service time manipulation here to get another year out, a cheap year out of him at the end of his eligibility before he would potentially hit free agency. Like you mentioned, he'll probably get an extension at some point soon to buy out, all of those arbitration years and keep him in Pittsburgh a little longer anyway. So if your goal is to lock him up, long term anyway, might as well not rush him to the big leagues. We've seen how that's hurt some guys in the past. So, I would have loved to see him at the major league level to start the year, but it doesn't make me any less up or excited to watch him play once he does. And I think it's only a matter of time, as I'm sure most people do as well.
Yeah, 100%, and I think it is a service time manipulation. And also just the idea that he only has 98 at bats above single A. So maybe there is an argument to be made that you want to see him get at bats against pitching in the upper minors. It does make total sense. And from one young player to another, the Giants are going to be without one of their promising young right-handers, Hayden Birdsong, who is going to undergo Tommy John surgery, or I guess who already has undergone Tommy John surgery. A tough blow for him. I think the Giants are in a spot where they have enough depth in the rotation where they could live without him, and I guess he has kind of fallen out of favor anyways, which makes it tough for him because this spring was supposed to be a year of this year was supposed to be a year of rebuilt for him, rebuilt value, and trying to get his stock back up to where it once was, and we won't see him for another year.
Yeah, it's a bummer for sure, and it's I think he had a pretty harsh first outing in the spring, but he seemed to have bounced back a little bit after that, and everyone was kind of excited to see what he could do and see if he could vie for either a bullpen spot or a starter or a fifth in the rotation spot potentially for the Giants. And now it's going to be a long road back, and hope it's a quick and full recovery for him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's just tough. I mean, especially since guys that come back from Tommy John, they usually struggle with control and command, and that was his issue anyways. So it's almost like you got to rebuild from scratch completely.
Maybe it'll double negative. It'll become his control will be fixed after the
Maybe,
surgery.
maybe it was just a matter of I know he said he felt it on one pitch, I guess. He threw a curveball and he said it felt like something in his arm tore. But like I maybe there's just some discomfort leading up. I don't know how that stuff works completely. But yeah, just a tough blow. Anybody who gets Tommy John. And the Giants, I was reading something. They haven't had too many of these. They haven't had too many guys undergo Tommy John. I know Randy Rodriguez is out, but in terms of starting pitchers, they haven't had too many. I think the last starting pitcher was Tyler Beede, who had Tommy John, and then Johnny Cueto also had it one year. So not a ton of like your guys who are regularly starting games. And Birdsong, who's going to be at AAA probably to start the year, is out, which is not a good thing. Um, all right, I guess we could go to our season predictions, Tyler. It's another year of predictions for us here at the Shutdown Inning podcast. Um,
Last year, just as we predicted, the Dodgers beat the Blue Jays in 7 games in the World Series, just as we predicted 1 year ago, I'm
did we
sure.
predict that?
No, not at all.
No. Yeah, I guess we could have. I guess we could have. So, I mean, how should we do this? Where should we start? I mean, there's obviously we want to get into our division winners and then some of the wild card teams. I'll have
Yeah,
you
let's
figure
just
out where
go.
you want to start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go AL East.
Okay.
I don't think we need to get too far into each division necessarily. I have the Blue Jays winning the East. I think the Rays will be a non-factor. The Orioles obviously made some improvements. I think the Yankees might be the most overrated team in baseball. I'm not expecting them to win the division. And, the Red Sox made some great moves as well. But, we talked about the Blue Jays briefly earlier. They went to the World Series a year ago. They made some great moves. They didn't really lose too much outside of Bo Bichette, and they made some additions outside of that. So I'm picking the Blue Jays to win the AL East.
100% I agree. I guess an argument could be made for the Red Sox, like they have really good pitching depth and some good young players, but the Blue Jays, I mean, their lineup is just so good, and they add a few guys. They add Kazmura Okamoto from Japan. You're gonna have a rotation that's a little bit different with the addition of Dylan Cease in there too. A bullpen that looked really good last year. You had Tyler Rogers into that mix. This team's really good. I understand that Bo Bichette's not there anymore. But you're just going to see more playing time for guys like Ernie Clement, Andres Jimenez. Barger's probably going to be in there quite a bit. Guerrero looked he is incredible. We saw it in the postseason, him in the big stage. So I like this team a lot. I think their pitching is wonderful. I would also have them winning the American League East. And I don't think the Yankees are that good either, to be honest with you. I feel like they haven't been good in a while, and we just overhyped them because they're the Yankees. But even
Yeah, I
last
mean, I
year,
agree.
they
They
were a
didn't
little
really
off.
even do much. They didn't really add much of anybody this offseason. Even going back to I was thinking about this the other day, going back to when Aaron Judge was a free agent and they said he wanted to go somewhere he could win and have a good lineup around him. That year, if you took Aaron Judge out of the Yankees lineup, like their lineup, one of the most comparable teams to the Yankees lineup that year was the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
So, I
Yep.
mean, like you said, and so yeah, it's amazing when you can plug a guy like 30 in the middle of your lineup, what it does for it. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, they're overrated. We'll get to wild card teams later. I still think they'll probably make a wild card run, but I don't think they're taking the division.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
AL
that might be the
Cent.
best division in baseball, by the way. Like the Orioles are not a slouch. The Red Sox, like I mentioned, the Yankees. So that's a really good division. It's hard to pick.
Yeah, I think either AL East, NL East, or NL West would be
Yeah.
best. But I would put probably the AL East at the top of that. AL Central, my friend, I'm gonna go with the Detroit Tigers.
Me
What
too.
about you?
Yep.
Okay.
Detroit Tigers. Yep. I don't know about their offense, but um, I know their pitching is pretty damn good. So,
Yeah, they signed Framber Valdez this offseason and Justin Verlander back there, and we talked about it a bit last season. If you take like the first month and a half out of Justin Verlander's season, he pitched really well last year. So, they'll have a rotation of Valdez, Verlander, Skubal, Mize, and I think Jack Flaherty's up there still, right?
yep. Yep.
And then they signed Kenley Jansen to be their closer more than likely. And then, don't sleep on this one, Steven. They signed Austin Slater to a minor league deal.
Oh my
So,
God.
but no, and we talked about, I remember last year we crapped on the AL Central so hard, and then they had, that epic race to end the year and had two playoff teams last year, I believe, right? After we tore them apart, but I just still think this is the worst division in baseball. I mean, even I think the Tigers could win that division with like 88 wins, 89 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with the Central. Do you have anything to add on the AL Central, Steven?
No, I just think that the Tigers have the best pitching in this sport. I mean, the addition of Valdez kind of changes everything. Um, I don't think the Guardians hit enough to even make it close. I think actually the Royals hit more than the Guardians hit, and it will be interesting to see what the rise of the Royals are going to be. But I also wonder what Detroit's going to do with Skubal. Like, I wonder how this season affects what they do with him. Like. if the trade deadline comes up and they're in good shape, like even if you're winning, I can't see a situation where they trade him, but you also can't let him walk. So like you're in a tough spot where it's like, okay, let's go all in for Scooble. But if it doesn't work out and it's, July 28th or 29th, like do you move off of Scooble? So I'm wondering how that affects the whole thing with him. I mean, Tigers kind of collapsed last year at the end of the year, but they're a slam dunk pick here. Um, I know nothing about the Twins, I'll be honest. Just seeing them in the division, I don't know what to think, but Detroit, I think slam dunk is the winner there. What about the American League West? What do you got there?
And the American League West is kind of, I think it's the maybe one of the only teams that might have better pitching than the Tigers, and that's the
True.
Seattle Mariners. We talked about them a bit earlier. Their rotation is pretty stacked with Wu and Gilbert and Kirby and Castilla, and I know I'm missing at least one guy there. And then their offense, obviously, I don't expect Cal Raleigh to hit 60 bombs again, but, they have a pretty solid lineup as well. They added Brendan Donovan to, play. I believe they'll have him play second, I imagine. And Julio Rodriguez was kind of looking like himself again last year, had an awesome year. So I'm taking the Mariners in the West.
Yeah, I love that top of the order with Raleigh somewhere in there, Julio, Donovan, I'd imagine he'd be up there, Josh Naylor, Rosarena. Like that's a really good core that they have. And you're right about the pitching. I might have spoken too soon on the Tigers, but this rotation, and it's not just like star power either. It's like Gilbert, Wu, who's the other Castillo. Like these guys are just steady. Like there's nothing that like jumps out. Like there's no clear like let's say Cy Young candidate on this team, but they all just kind of they're steady and they're strong and um I like the way that they match up against some of these teams and I like I almost said Oakland. I like the A's as kind of like a sleeper team in this division. I don't know if they would make the playoffs or not, but their offense, I think, was top 10 in the league last year. They just didn't have any pitching. And that was the issue with them, kind of. But their young players are no joke. I just don't think they added enough to the pitching to go with the hitting. But um, yeah, I mean, slam dunk, I would go with the Mariners too. I agree. And I don't know where the Astros are at, to be honest with you. I have no idea about them. I know that they have some position players who are interesting, but um, they're probably fringe. But yeah.
So far, we've matched up all the way down the
Yep.
line. Let's see if we're gonna make it 6 for 6, dude. So NL East, or actually, while we're in the American League, should we talk wild card teams?
Let's do wild card. Yeah.
Yeah. So my three wild card teams are the Red Sox, Rangers, Yankees.
Okay. Interesting.
I think we talked about the Red Sox. They were the team that I would have finishing behind the Blue Jays. I don't think anyone. I don't think the Central will get two playoff teams this year. I think Wyatt Langford is going to have a big year for the Rangers. They have quite a few young guys that I think can kind of come into their own, just a couple of years after winning the World Series and get them back into the postseason. And then, the Yankees I was debating between the Yankees and the Orioles for the third wild card. I went with the Yankees, but uh, not exactly in love with the pick, but those are my three.
Okay, so this is where we're gonna differ here. I'm gonna go with the Red Sox, and in that second spot, I'll go with the Orioles because I like them a little bit more than the Yankees. In that third spot, I'm just gonna this is a bold take. Sacramento A's. The A's are
So
making the
there will
playoffs.
be playoffs at Oracle Park this year.
I don't know who's going to pitch. Maybe they go make a move or something at the deadline. But I think the A's are going to have a massive offensive season. Just they're going to take advantage of their time in Sacramento and they're just going to hit. And I think they could hit all their way all the way to the postseason. So that kind of leaves off the Yankees. I guess I kind of leave off the Rangers then too. But Red Sox, Yankees, A's. That's what I'm going to go with here.
Dude, I'm looking at the A's depth chart, dude, and yeah, I mean, more power to them if they can make it work, but their pitching is pretty rough.
It's rough. They got to get pitching, maybe make a trade or something. Outside of Severino, you just don't have anybody who's Jeffrey Springs. I don't know about that one. He's a little bit on the older side, but they got to get someone in there for sure. But they hit.
Yeah.
They hit for
Well,
sure.
yeah.
I like their
Yeah.
lineup.
The thing about getting a hit in Sacramento is so do your opponents.
That's very true. That's very true. All right,
But
National League
we'll
East.
see. Yeah. National League East. I've got the Mets taking this one. How about you?
I have the Phillies. They're getting older, and I think this is their kind of last dance type thing. But I would go with the Phillies. I still like a lot of their players. I think they come up big in the big game. I'll kind of be. I know this. I know the Mets are the popular pick. I'll go with the Phillies here in this division.
Okay. Yeah, I like the Mets team. I feel like they got to actually put it together one of these years with how much Cohen is willing to invest in their team um and so, I think the one thing that might hurt them is their outfield depth because they pretty much have Soto, Robert, and then a bunch of kids, if I recall correctly. They did bring in Bichette, so I'll have, Bichette and Lindor in the infield. I didn't really love their move to replace Pete Alonso with Jorge Polanco,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll see. So we have our first differing division winner. I think that was the one. Let me look back. Yeah, I think that was the division where I had the most. I wasn't as sure where I kind of had a second team, and it was the Phillies. So I think that's a good pick, Steven.
Yeah, and just a hint on the wild card. We'll see one of these teams again. So you'll see it. You'll hear about it soon in my wild card, and probably vice versa. Same thing.
Yeah.
Um, Central.
Central Division, go Cubs, go. Hey,
Oh,
Chicago, what do you say? Cubs are going to win today. They're going to the playoffs. They're winning the NL Central, Steven.
I'm gonna
You
go with the
take the
Brewers.
Cardinals?
I'm going with the Cardinals. They're not good. I'm gonna go with the Brewers. I mean, they they traded away Peralta, which is interesting, Freddie Peralta, and they probably need one more arm too, in a weird way. And I feel like they always have guys that people really don't hear about. But I mean, the Cubs did add Bregman. They added Edward Cabrera. I just don't see them being better than the Brewers. So I mean,
The Brewers added Kyle Harrison as well.
Kyle Harrison could be the guy, but but Caleb Durbin also got traded too. Um, I can't understand why they did that, but yeah, and also the Pirates, like they sneaky got better. They could be a third place team at their very best. Maybe swap places with the Reds at some point.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I feel like the Brewers did more selling than buying, and the Cubs kind of did the opposite. So that was what gave me the nod there. And I feel like, the Brewers are leaning on some older guys with like Yelich and Brandon Woodruff coming off of injury. And he's talked about not even pitching he might be pitching every like 6 or 7 days instead of every 5 days. So be interesting to see how that works out. But yeah, so we matched in the American League, haven't matched yet in the National League. I have a feeling we might match on this one, my friend. National League West, I'm going with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, I'll go with the Rockies here. I think they're obvious. No, I'll go with the Dodgers. This
How many
isn't one of
games
the.
do you think they win?
That's a good question. I was thinking about that too. I don't think they're gonna have big win. Like, I mean, every time we say
Yeah.
they're gonna win 120 games, like last year, how many
They're
did
never
they
going
win
to do
last
that.
year?
They don't need to win that many. They're going to rest guys in September, make sure they're healthy, and then go on another run in October.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
mean, I
think
could see that. I think they'll win like 103, 104 games.
I'll say like 98, 99. I feel like they're kind of interesting. I don't know about the rotation for some of these other teams. Like, um, I don't think Arizona or the Padres have enough rotation depth. I don't think the Giants have enough rotation depth.
But
Um,
you just wait a second ago when you talked Birdsong, you were talking about how deep they are.
they're deep in the young starter department, but they're not deep in the quality department.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is like, sure, you have McDonald, Wizenhunt. Keaton
Like
wins.
like you have bodies you can justify putting in the rotation if you had to.
Yeah,
But it
and
doesn't mean they're going to be great.
yeah, and I guess in this discussion talking about division, like it's just not there. So, but Dodgers for sure. I mean, they're very, very good once again, and it seems like they're just always continuing to get better. This year with Kyle Tucker, um, and they're just doing it. I mean, I don't even know who's going to play second base for them. I'd imagine they're going to go with what's his name, Freeland, the second baseman, the young kid who is going to get a
Yeah,
chance to play.
they sent Kim down to the minors yesterday or the day before. So yeah, I think they're going to give it the job to him.
Yeah, and they're not exactly young. Like this is a Dodger team that I mean, I mentioned the Phillies kind of being their last dance. Like they're definitely way older, but I mean, Otani's 31, Betts is 33, Freeman 36, Muncy 30, or Smith 31, Muncy 35, Teoscar Hernandez 33. It's an older team, but at the same time, you keep getting guys like Tucker and you keep developing guys like how much you want to bet this Freeland kid's going to be a god. But I guess the
Yeah,
rotation's,
or
younger.
Tibbs will be a stud for them within the next year or two. Former
Yep.
Giants prospect.
Yep.
So yeah, yep. Dodgers. I mean, that was obviously the easiest pick of the bunch, I think, out of all six. Um, how about you? How about you give your NL wildcard teams first?
Okay, so I'll go with the not Phillies. I'll go with the Mets. I think the Mets are obviously that first team that gets in. The number two team that gets in will go with the Chicago Cubs. I like them enough to not rule them out of this completely. Um, and then I will go with my last team. This is the one that I left off on. I didn't actually do this. I did all the other teams before, but the last team, you know what? I'll say the Padres. I'll say the Padres sneak in. How about that?
Not the Giants.
Not the Giants, not Tony
Boo this
Vitello's Giants.
man.
They
Boo this
probably would have
man.
been. It depends on who finishes second or third, obviously, in the division. But I could say Padres or Giants, but since I think the Padres will finish second, I'll go Padres.
Okay. Well, I gave you a lot of crap right there for not picking the Giants. I'm not picking anyone from the NL West. I'm picking the Phillies, Brewers, and Braves.
Okay, all three out of the East. Oh well, no
Except for the
Central with the Brewers.
Brewers. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, we talked about most of those teams in depth. I think the Braves got, they made some nice additions this offseason. They're also getting a little healthier. They had a few guys that they were missing last year, although they did put Spencer Strider on the injured list to start the year, I saw. Um, but I just feel like they have too much talent to flop again, and they can put it together, and sneak into the playoffs. The NL West, no one jumps off to me off the page after the Dodgers is like this is a playoff team. I feel like the Padres have been kind of trending downward for a couple years now, and they have that impending sale, which who knows how much that is kind of a cloud over the franchise of uncertainty. Um, the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are one of those crazy teams where it's like they could finish 10 games under 500 or 10 games over 500 and you wouldn't be surprised about
Yeah,
it. And then the Giants, I just don't think they did enough this offseason. I think they're right around 500 again. Their rotation to me is very iffy after Webb and Ray, and even Ray was not that solid in the second half last year. I really love their offense. It's kind of strange to love the offense and not be high on the pitching as a Giants fan after the last 20 years or so of being a Giants fan, where pitching was king. Um, so doesn't mean they'll make the playoffs this year, but that does make me more helpful because they can attract pitching to that ballpark. I just think they didn't do enough this offseason to do what they needed to do to get into the playoffs.
yeah. No, that's a good point. I think they're a little bit better than 500, but
Yeah, I
I
think
do
they're
think
like
they're
83, 84 wins.
yeah, maybe even 85, 86. But
Ooh.
if they're that high, then I think they might even get that third spot, to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
somewhere in that
Yeah, I mean, they
range.
could sneak in there and I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't bet money on it.
Yeah. No.
Did you
Who-
do any like kind of ALCS, NLCS, or did you just do the awards after that?
I just did the awards after that. Did
Cool.
you do? Did you do any?
I just like not very high level, just like after I made my playoff picks, I just like, okay, let's just for fun. So I just did ALCS, I said Mariners over Blue Jays, they get their revenge. NLCS, I've got the Braves sneaking from that third wild card spot going to the World Series over the Dodgers, just because I couldn't pick the Dodgers again. I mean, even though in my head they're the best team in baseball, obviously. And then the World Series, Mariners over Braves, Jake McKinley gets a ring.
Nice. Nice.
Um, the awards, I just did MVP, Cy Young, and Rookie of the Year. I feel like Manager of the Year is such a crapshoot. If you made picks, I'd love to hear them, but I did not. Um, so did you just do MVP, Cy, and Rookie of the Year?
I did, yes.
Cool. So, I mean, I'm going to be very honest, Steven. For MVPs and Cy Youngs, like Judge Ohtani, Scooble, Skeens would be who I would pick. I think they're all those guys are hands down the best offensive player and best pitchers in their league. That said, I made basically like secondary picks where like maybe one of those guys gets hurt or just has an off year. So I kind of state that as almost like a disclaimer, like take Judge Ohtani, Scooble, and Skeens out because those are, I think, kind of global first picks for those awards. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think those are the four guys that would probably walk away with this thing if we
Mhm.
were to bet they're the betting favorites, as one would say.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean that works for me too. We
Were
can.
those all your picks, or did you
Those were
make
not
other
all my
picks?
picks, so
Okay,
I was
cool.
actually in the same line of thinking. So I must say. So who do you
Cool.
have for AL MVP? We might actually double up on this.
AL MVP, I got Vladdy Jr.
Okay, we did not double up on
I think
this.
he had, I wouldn't say his coming out party. Everyone's known who Vladdy is for a while, but his postseason was ridiculous. I think he's going to kind of ride that and his extension and into an MVP caliber season for the Blue Jays.
So we did not double up on this. I'm gonna go with a guy who we just saw in the World Baseball Classic, Bobby Witt Jr., who is
Okay.
so good. And I'm gonna be honest, maybe I didn't understand how good he was, but he is so good. He's so good defensively. He hits for power. He runs the bases. He is the best bet for me, I think, for even with Judge, I think. Even with Judge being kind of the guy who's the favorite and Judge hits and we'll see what happens with his defense and everything, but his defense doesn't matter. But but Bobby Witt Jr. to me, I think this is a year where maybe, I know sometimes voters get tired of a guy when they win too much. Maybe this is the year where Judge just isn't as impressive in terms of like MVP goes. Like he has a great year and a worthy year, but um, they just think someone else is worthy. So I'll go with Bobby Witt Jr. for me.
Nice pick. Yeah, I think he was one that was kind of on the radar, obviously, so I can see it. NL MVP, he said he's coming for Ohtani anyway in the MVP race. I'm going with Soto.
Okay, so we double up here. I will go with Soto too. Um, he had a good year last year. Stole a lot of bases too, which was kind of interesting. But um,
Hmm.
I think that's who I would go with too. I don't think he's won an MVP yet. I could be wrong, but I don't
He has
believe
not.
so. He's due. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's certainly due to win it this year.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, that's crazy. He is still only 27 years old.
Yeah. Another one I did consider was Ronald Acuna Jr. Coming back from, I know he hasn't had the best go. I don't think last year was a year that he would have wanted, but National League could be thin if you think about it.
Yep. Alrighty, AL Cy Young, I'm going with Brian Wu. I mean, he strikes out a pretty good amount of guys. He doesn't walk a lot of dudes. He keeps his team in position to win games. I feel like he's kind of an under the radar pick, not necessarily a splashy pick, but I'll go with Wu.
Woo! I will go with Cole Reagans of the Kansas City Royals, who has silently been one of the better pitchers in the American League. He's starting like his third straight opening day. I did not even know he started that many opening days so far. But he would be my guy. I think he's maybe down the list on in this category, but Hunter Brown was in the voting last year. I think Cole Reagans is this year's Hunter Brown.
Yeah, cool. I like that pick. NL Cy Young, I kept him out of the playoffs. I'm not keeping him off of the award podium. And I think we'll even get into this a little further, so I won't say too much. We'll get up into it a little bit later, but I'm going Logan Webb.
Logan Webb's a good pick. I'm gonna go with Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah,
So
he was the other one I was thinking of.
yeah, Yamamoto is the only other guy that I mean, you could technically put Sanchez in there. He was so close last year, but I like Yamamoto. Um, he's kind of an interesting one. Um, so that's who I would go with.
Yeah.
Yoshinobu
Mhm.
Yamamoto. Have you seen that song?
The No,
I'll have
but
to
have you
send it
seen
to
the
you.
Yoshi bobblehead they're coming out with?
No, what is
Dodge.
it?
It's a mashup of like Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Yoshi from Nintendo bobblehead.
Oh, cool. That's actually
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll touch just a couple things on Webb, and then, like I said, without spoiling it too much, we'll be talking about him again very shortly. But what is it? 3 years in a row leading baseball in innings pitched. Last year, most strikeouts in Major League Baseball. Um, just always seems to be like one of the bridesmaids, never gets all the love. So maybe this will be the year.
Yep. Maybe so. How about Rookie of the Year? What do you got for American League?
Rookie of the year. I've got the Royals on top of the mind, Steven. I'm going Carter Jensen with
Okay.
the rookie of the year.
That's interesting. Okay. I had two that I was going back and forth here. I'm gonna go with Kevin McGonigal from the Detroit Tigers. He is the number two. He's kind of like the American League's version, in a way, the American League's version of our friend Konnor Griffin. So he's with the
Our
Tigers.
good friend Connor
Our
Griffin.
good friend Konnor Griffin with the Tigers, and just a guy who's kind of a bat to ball guy, has some power too, but has hit for a ton of average in the past. We podcasted last time, and I mentioned Trey Savage's performance during the postseason as being an indicator that he could win it. He It was hard to go against him because I was very impressed with him last year, and it's weird that he's still considered a rookie, but he would be my
I think
very
I
close
saw,
number two.
isn't he starting the year on the injured list?
He might be, but
Yeah.
still.
But yeah, Carter Jensen, I chose him. He had a pretty solid, cup of coffee last year with the Royals, and I think he'll either catch or DH almost every day for the team. So I think he'll get the plate appearances to kind of put up some good numbers and see what happens. But yeah. And then National League, I went with someone who I will also talk about again very soon, JJ Wetherholt for the Cardinals.
Okay.
Got some pop, got some speed, gonna get plenty of opportunity to play for the Cardinals as they rebuild.
Okay, I'm gonna go with an arm here for the Mets, who we just saw as well in the WBC, Nolan McLean, who threw the ball well in his first outing, and then was slated to pitch the championship game, or sorry, was pitching the semifinal game and was kind of roughed up. Not roughed up. He pitched well. He gave up 2 earned runs, but um, he would be my rookie of the year too. I mean, I could have said Bryce Eldridge and made this like a Giants connection, but I didn't even have Weatherholt on my list here. I had Griffin, Connor Griffin, Nolan McLean, and also Bubba Chandler. So I probably missed
Okay.
Weatherholt, but I'll go with McLean.
Haters gonna hate, man, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's our predictions. Like we'll come back in October and just be in awe of how well we did. But at least our playoff teams, I think we were pretty much in line with most of them. I think we had like one team different in the National League and one or two in the American League. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. Anybody but the Dodgers. That's all I
100%.
gotta say.
3 up, 3 down.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll start with the downs. I am on the down watch today. We got some Giant stuff first and foremost. Barry Bonds. So there's a ton of people in spring training with the Giants, ton of instructors that they invite out for like a week or so. Jeff Kent was out there, Pablo Sandoval, Hunter Pence, Rich Aurelia,
Joe Panic was out there this year.
Joe Panic, who works in the organization. A bunch of guys were out there. Barry Bonds was not. Barry Bonds in Scottsdale, or was not in Scottsdale, I should say. And according to John Shea of the San Francisco Chronicle, the reasoning is because he currently does not have a contract with the Giants. He was a special assistant with the team, and his contract expired in December. So he currently does not have a contract with the team. There's negotiations that are happening right now, and apparently, according to Shea, it doesn't seem to be about money. So the reason I'm down is because the fact that he does not have a lifetime contract with the Giants is troubling, and this is a wake up call for them to get that done. So,
Yeah,
Barry
I'm
Bonds.
kind of surprised it wasn't a lifetime contract already. I wonder if it's not about money, which I mean I can understand because I think Barry's doing all right still. I wonder what it is. Like, is are they debating on? Are they trying to go back on the promise of the statue now, Steven? They're like, we have to make room for Jeff Kent, who's actually in the Hall of Fame. We have to put his statue where yours was going to go, Barry. No, but yeah, it's interesting. I had no idea his contract was up until you mentioned it to me right before we started recording. So I think that's a good call. Hopefully they can just figure out whatever they need to figure out, keep Barry at third and king for
Yep.
a long, long time.
Yep. He will be there though on opening day because he's a part of the Netflix broadcast team, which is weird to say that Barry Bonds is part of a broadcast team. He's going to be on the booth there. Um, and
Is he going to be in the booth or doing the studio show?
sorry, the studio show. He'll be in the studio show. In the booth will be Matt Vasgersian alongside analyst Hunter Pence and CC Sabathia. So
Okay.
cool to see there. Lauren Shahadi will also be on the call
Will you
as
be
a
there for
sideline.
opening day, Steven?
I will be there for opening day. I'll be running around. I of course work the mornings now. As one of our producers, Carter Chickering, is on paternity leave. So
Do-
I'll be getting off at 12:30, and then it's a 5 o'clock
yes.
start. I'll be heading right down to the ballpark after, and it'll be a long day for me, but I'll be
Do
there.
you plan on approaching CC Sabathia and telling him you don't think he deserved to have his number retired?
I do not, but I plan on approaching Lauren Shahadi and saying hello.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I
So,
hope it goes well for you, my friend.
yeah,
Try to
me
get a
too.
picture if you can.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Anyhow, my next down is going to be we talked about Logan Webb just now. Foul territory, which is kind of growing as baseball's probably, fastest growing podcast network. There's AJ Pierzynski, there's Scott Braun, there's Eric Kratz. They have kind of their show. There's a bunch of teams that now have podcasts affiliated with it. I know with the Giants, Susan Slusser and FP Santangelo have one. Um, Susan Slusser was a guest on the main show with Scott Braun and Eric Kratz and those guys. And Eric Kratz asked her if Logan Webb was an ace in this league. And Susan Slusser was like, well, yeah. And first of all, my down goes to Eric Kratz for asking this question. Eric, open your eyes, look at the stat sheet, wake the hell up. What are you doing asking this question? This is like the most captain obvious question. And if you didn't know the answer to it, you were sleeping. You're asleep at the wheel. Did you not just watch the World Baseball Classic? Did you not watch the season that just happened? The past seasons? He's finished in the Cy Young voting multiple times now, and you're saying, is he an ace in this league? What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? What kind of baseball analysis is this? You do a show every freaking day on that network, and you still think this is a viable question to ask. So, um, just a dumbass question. It was quote tweeted by George Contos. Alex Wood came to the defense of his former teammate. Just a horrendous job. It went viral on social media. Just a horrible question. I mean, I understand that in journalism, sometimes you have to ask questions just to hear the answer that you already know. That happens a lot after games. But this one just, did you really have any doubt that he wasn't an ace? So,
it's like
yeah.
hey, Shohei Ohtani, he the real deal?
Exactly.
You
Yeah, he
know.
is established. There's nothing more we need to see from Logan Webb. Jesus.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, led has thrown more innings in baseball than any pitcher over the last 3 years. He's led each year, so not just add them all together. He's led baseball in innings pitched, led it baseball in strikeouts now. I think he finished, was it second one year in the Cy?
Yeah.
And I think he's got another top five finish, if I recall correctly. So yeah, just a silly question. I remember when I saw the agenda, I was like, Steven, who the hell said that?
Yeah.
So
No,
now we know,
100%.
and now does do all of our listeners. So
Yeah. Horrible job. And I just can't understand that question. It's and you could make the argument, Tyler, that Logan Webb is the best player in the Giants. Devers included, Adames included, Chapman included. You can
yeah.
make the argument. So, I mean, when you got a guy finishing top three in Cy Young voting, you could certainly make the argument. I know he only pitches every 5 days, but yeah. Anyhow, my last one is, there's people that are saying that the WBC should be played in the middle of the year, get it moved. I'm not a fan of that. I don't want to see Major League Baseball shut down for the middle of the year. That's too much. The only time you could have this competition and tournament is when you have it now in March. It's the only time you could have it in my mind. I don't want to see baseball take off. And this is going to be a Debbie Downer traditional take, but I wouldn't want to see baseball take off for the Olympics either. WBC is good enough. You're shaking your head at me. I want to hear your thoughts.
Why wouldn't you want to see the best players in the world in the Olympics? I agree with you that, I mean, here's the thing.
Then get rid of the WBC
Why? So get rid of the World Cup.
because we're just going to keep asking. We're going to put them up against each other and judge
Why?
anyways.
No one puts Olympic soccer up against the World Cup. People love them both. Why can't we love both, Steven?
I think it's going to get old.
Why do you hate
I think
baseball? Why do you hate the
having
best players
I
in
don't
baseball
hate
being on
baseball.
the
I love
field
the
at the same
WBC.
time?
I love the WBC. I just think that it's going to get old. People are going to start, saying, "Oh, we just did
That's
this."
why they're only every 3 or 4 years, man.
But they're going to overlap. We're going to have the WBC one year and then the next year the Olympics, or two
Oh
years the
no. Oh
Olympics.
no, how terrible. It'll be okay, man.
All right.
But I agree. World Baseball Classic shouldn't be in the middle. We've already established that it's before the season. It works really well with spring training. I think it also gives teams the opportunity to you know, play some of their younger guys while their stars are out playing the World Baseball Classic, give those guys some extra looks. And then, obviously we can't do that with the Olympics because it's in the summer, and so that would be in the middle of the season. Every 4 years, Stephen, all the time. It's going to be happening all the time. But yeah, I agree. Keep World Baseball Classic in March.
Fair enough. I have no rebuttal to that. I understand. All right. What are the ups?
Steven's just like, let's end this episode already. Tyler's being mean again.
He's mean
Uh,
to me. Is this how you treat
uh,
your yard barkers team?
the yard goats?
Yard
No, because they have good takes. The yard barkers.
yard barkers. Yeah, good takes like Zoolander or not Zoolander, Zootopia.
Yeah, have you seen that movie, dude?
Yes, I have. The bunny is arresting people. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, So up number one, I have player height accuracy now with the ABS. All of a sudden, you'd always see those stats where like this guy's 6'4", this guy's 6'3", and you're
Yeah.
like, wow, that seems really high. Now that ABS is in play and they're measuring every player's height to make sure that the strike zone is accurate for them when they're batting, now all of a sudden they don't want to pad the stats on the height category, Steven. So all these guys are magically 3, 4 inches shorter than they used to be. Well, the one I saw was Gavin Lux has gone from I think 6'2" to 5'11", and I know you had mentioned one too.
Yeah. Bo Naylor,
What
Alex
you saw?
Bregman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just think it's funny, that we are getting some actual heights now instead of just whatever a guy wants to be listed at to make himself feel taller.
Yeah, I think this was a memo that went out, and they said now that ABS for the technology, they need the real heights, so you can't like exaggerate anymore. So, and players have gotten exposed. So,
Yeah,
first of all, you take one look at Alex Bregman, and you're like, he's not 6'1", he's not 6'2". Are you kidding me? Like this
yeah.
guy's not even 6 feet. So, some of these guys, they had it coming to them.
One I will say that I saw. Aaron Judge held true. 6'7", still 6'7". So he was
Truthful.
he was accurate all along.
Yeah, he was under oath when he gave that the height. Get it?
Right.
Ah,
Uh,
that was a good one. You
up,
laughed.
that was great. Gave it a good old chuckle there. Up number two. I always enjoy this time of year when some of the game's best prospects kind of get the news that they're making a big league roster, some for the first time, and it always makes me think of the franchise from 2011 with Bruce Bochy telling Brandon Belt, you want a beer? Get a beer after he tells them that he made the team. So a couple big prospects I saw in the news and the headlines today making their big league squads. Carson Benge for the Mets. I think he was their number two prospect. He's an outfielder. And JJ Wetherholt for the Cardinals, who we talked about earlier. My rookie of the year pick in the National League. He's a middle infielder, pop, some speed. It's just always, so maybe just using those guys as examples, but the ups of just being, prospects seeing their dreams come to fruition, my friend.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to teams that do this and don't manipulate the service time. And I think we've talked about it on this show. There's also now an incentive to carry these guys on the roster. And I think you get like something when it comes to rookie of the year consideration. If they win rookie of the year, they get something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think they get a draft pick actually. They get a draft pick at the end of the first round, if I'm not mistaken, which is great. It's a perfect incentive. I think that's a good job that they're doing that. And for guys that are not starting the year with the big league team, like this goes for Bryce Eldridge especially, it's not the end of the world. Like I know opening day is a big deal when it comes to the symbolic nature of the day, standing on the line and getting introduced, but when you come up on April 23rd against the Pittsburgh Pirates at PNC Park in the middle of the afternoon, it's not such a bad thing either. So they're going to be up. These guys are highly thought of in the organization. Nothing to worry about long term. Just teams doing, trying to save their butt with different with service time. So
Yeah. Yep. So and then last up, Steven, the anticipation for opening day. As we sit here, my friend, I was just looking, we are now less than 50 hours to opening day, almost 48 hours, just under 50. Depending on when you listen to this, maybe you already seen opening day, maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow, but it's coming and it's gonna be here very soon, Steven. We have baseball. It's back. We're
yeah,
back, baby.
watch me post this like on Friday. No, I'm just kidding. I won't
Right.
even put that thought into existence. Opening day is coming, and like I said, I'll be there. And the Giants have the a 2 game series, like I guess replacing the old Bay Bridge series. They now have 2 games here against the Mexican team from Montreal or Monterey, sorry. And it's an exhibition. The Monterey team's getting ready for their season two, and I was tempted to go to the game tonight. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But like I said, my schedule getting up early. The minute I got up this morning and my alarm went off, the first thing I thought of was I don't want to get out of bed and I don't want to go to the game tonight. So I'm now pushed those plans to tomorrow. Hopefully maybe I'll get there tomorrow and I could pull off the 5 a.m. to 12:30 shift and then kill a few hours and then go to the game tomorrow and probably leave a little bit early so I could get some sleep before the 3 o'clock wake up the next day. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, sorry, man. Sorry you have to wake up so early. Being an adult is
it
tough,
is no
but
issue. I like the shift a lot. The issue, Tyler, is, as you know, I've become a night owl in recent years. And I like going to bed late. And it's so hard to go to bed at 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Just because I feel FOMO. I feel like I should be
yeah.
up and doing something. And yeah.
Well,
So
now you'll be up once the season starts and the Giants are playing until like 10:30 at night. You'll get to stay up late again, buddy. And
yeah,
then and then you'll become a coffee drinker like a real adult.
yeah. Haven't gotten the coffee yet, but I will say I grabbed a caffeine drink from Safeway, and it's one of the. I don't know if you've had sparkling ice, the drinks. They have
I have
sparkling
not.
ice caffeine version, not an energy drink, so nothing like that's gonna kill me possibly walking around, but. caffeine
There you go.
because coffee tastes horrible, respectfully. Might be an acquired taste, but even the smell makes me nauseous.
Oh, but yeah, man, I'm really excited for
Oh,
opening day. I'm excited to have like actual baseball and not just like here's the moves that happen for us to talk about. We'll be able to like actually talk some actual baseball, dude. So
100%, 100%. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Tyler, I think we just shut it down again.
we shut it down.
You're in agreement.
64.
You're in agreement that we shut it down again. Happy opening day, everybody. This was a blast. We will see you next time, and we'll have stuff to talk about that happened during the season. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And this was great off-season coverage on our part. And we're getting ready for another. Why are you laughing?
It's like way to pat ourselves on the back. Great job here at the shutdown
Yeah,
inning.
great job, us. I want to give a big shout out to Steven Risotto. And Spencer too for being the only listener of this podcast. We always love him and his support.
We love our other listeners too. Spencer's just the only one that talks to us about it. So if you listen, drop us a message or something. But shout out to Spencer. Shout out to all our listeners.
Yeah.
It's baseball season. We'll keep talking about it. Thank you for listening.
And have a great day.
That's what's up.
Bye bye.